All right, we'll get started. Welcome to the 2022 Renewable Energy Policy Summit. My name is Jeff Rich. I'm board president of Renew Wisconsin, and I am really glad to be here today. I don't know about you, but it's been a long haul, and we're really excited to have you here and to be together face to face, at least as many people as can make it this time around. So we're very excited to have you here. It's going to be a great conference today, or great summit, and looking forward to that. Just a couple of things here real quick. Just want to emphasize that we're here today because we're taking some safety precautions that will enable us to do that. Please be courteous to one another. Please look out for each other and make sure you wear these. I see everybody seems to be doing that, and thank you. It's been a tough 2 years. Obviously, we don't want to have to wear these things. We're doing it for our own safety and for the safety of the others around us. So please adhere to that. I know everybody's been doing a good job this morning. And on that note, I'd like anybody who's from the healthcare sector to please stand up right now, if you could. If anybody in the room, I know there's a few attendees, maybe they're not all here yet. But all right, let's give these folks a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. My wife still works in healthcare. I worked in healthcare for 13 years at the end of my career, and I can tell you from my friends and the folks that are delivering care-saving lives every day that it's been a really tough time. So thanks for what you're doing. And thanks for everybody here participating and helping. All right, we're excited to have you here today. I've been a member of Renew for a while now. I've been on the board for a couple of years. And when I worked at Gunderson Health System and led their renewable energy program there, Renew was a great partner to me. And why am I still involved in the board today? Because it really mattered to us in the work that we were doing. When I needed some education to learn what was going on in the industry or with our rates, and the regulatory environment and how to partner with other people, Renew was there, and they would call me and keep me abreast of changes that were going on. If I had questions or I needed to find somebody to partner with, they were often the one that provided the link for me. So it's a great organization, great place to network, this summit in particular, and to learn. Because it's a dynamic and changing environment around clean energy today, and the things that we were talking about 5 or 10 years ago are different than what we're talking about today. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited to be here. And the next step is to introduce our new executive director, at least new since the last time we were in person. And she is Heather Allen. And Heather joined Renew in 2018 as a program director. In 2020, she was named executive director. In that role, she guides overall strategy, policy development, day-to-day operations, and membership engagement. Since first discovering her passion for renewables upon going solar with the Madison program, which is administered by Renew, Heather has dedicated herself to finding policy and program solutions to ensure all Wisconsinites have access to clean energy. Prior to joining Renew Wisconsin, Heather worked as the legislative analyst for the City of Madison's Common Council. She brings a cumulative of 15 years experience developing policies and programs at the Clean Lakes Alliance, Natural Resources Defense Council, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the City of Madison. And I can tell you, when we selected Heather to be our executive director, we were all very excited. She's wonderful to work with, and we're really happy to have her in this role. So welcome. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you to everyone who is here in person, and thank you to our virtual audience. Hello to you who are participating from your offices or from your home. We're glad you can join us. It's a true pleasure to be here in person at the 11th Annual Renewable Energy Summit. And the first thing we'd like to do is Jeff and I will tag team thanking some of our sponsors.
Okay. Greenpenny. These are our presenting sponsors, by the way. Greenpenny, Invenergy, NextEra Energy.
And to our partner sponsors, Alliant Energy, Arch Electric, American Transmission Company, the Coulyard Solar Foundation, Eagle Point Solar, Wisconsin Office of Energy Innovation, Savion, and Stantec.
Our leader sponsors, Bolt, CED Green Tech, EDF Renewables Distributed Solutions, Foley and Lardner LLP, Generac, Michael Best and Friedrich, MREA, Northwind Solar, One Energy, REC Group, SC Johnson, Steigerwald Land Services, and Sunpeak.
And our champion sponsors: Aptim, Avid Risk Solutions, Carlson Electric, Braun Intertech, Current Electric, Dane County Office of Energy and Climate Change, Endries Solar and Electric, Entech Solutions, Inc., Full Spectrum Solar, Glow Solar, Good Steward Consulting, Hellerman Titan, Inga Team, JCG Land Services, Wisconsin K-12 Energy Education, KEEP, Keys and Fox, Madison College, Milwaukee Shines, McGrid Analytics, National Grid, Nautilus Solar, Pines Bach, PRC Wind, Ranger Power, Rupert Milky, Stonehouse Development, Sun Badger Solar, TRC, Werner Electric, Wyderk, Excel Energy.
Our advocate sponsors: Ayers Associates, Chint Power Systems, Michael J. Allen, formerly Energy Law Wisconsin, EOR, Mars EOR, Kapoor and Associates, Legacy Solar Cooperative, McKinstry, Midwest Solar Power, Northeast Wisconsin Technical College, Economowoc Realty, the Concord General Store, Organic Valley, Pace, Sustain Dane, Trillium Construction, Vanguard Real Estate Solutions, Westfall and Company Incorporated, Wisconsin Clean Cities, Wisconsin Conservative Energy Forum.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And we have a number more supporter sponsors. We won't take the time, but we hope you'll visit their booths. And we thank you all for your support to make this conference possible. So please don't be shy. Come on in to the front of the room. There are plenty of seats up front, and these are some of the best seats in the house. While you're here today or later on, please take a look at our annual report on our website. The 2020 report highlights some of the achievements that Wisconsin has seen in the last year, and some of Renew Wisconsin, our own achievements, and the things that we do for you and for the industry to make this a cleaner, greener, a more economically friendly Wisconsin. And while you're at our website, please check out our membership options. If you're not already a business member or an individual member, we'd encourage you to join us. Members are making a difference every day, helping us transition to clean energy. And while you're here today, I'll leave this slide up for a second. This is the conference QR code. If you don't already have the Whova app, you can take a picture of this QR code and download the app on your phone. It'll help connect you to other attendees. You can see who's here in the actual building or virtually that you want to connect with. And you can see maps of where everything's laid out. So that's a helpful app. And finally, the last announcement is our Ride with Renew bike ride on May 22nd in Eau Claire, sponsored by Excel Energy. It should be a really fun time. We will ride our bicycles to a bunch of different renewable energy projects and see how things are working on the ground. So I hope you'll join us for that. And now, oh gosh, here we go. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our presenting sponsor for this session, Greenpenny, and our speaker, Jason Mcduff. Having risen through the ranks of a national bank, Jason Mcduff is now happy to be working closer to his values, leading Greenpenny and living close to family in Iowa. He recently joined Greenpenny after taking a break from career to travel, and it was in Antarctica and South American Patagonia, Amazon and Galapagos Islands where he gained insights about environmental issues and the effect of climate change. And so he has dedicated his career now to financing clean energy solutions with Greenpenny. I won't tell you too much more about Greenpenny, but I'll let Jason do that. Please welcome Jason Mcduff.
Thank you so much, Heather. It's been a real pleasure to get to know you and the team at Renew Wisconsin this last year, and we're happy to be the presenting sponsor for the second year in a row. It's our third year attending, and you have a wonderful organization. We look forward to working with all of you in the many, many years to come. We are Greenpenny. Thanks so much for having us as we look out over the group here and then see the names on the board of all the installers and others that are here. We're very grateful to know a lot of you now, and especially grateful for those of you that we do business with. We can't thank you all enough. We are from Decorah, Iowa. How many of you know where Decorah, Iowa is? Raise your hands. Hey, look at that. Well, good. Well, little Decorah, Iowa has one of the highest solar adoption rates of any community in the country, per capita, because we're small, but one of the highest in the country. And a lot of that happened because Decorah Bank and Trust, our parent company, financed it. And so as the bank was looking at ways to grow, like many community banks all across the country are doing beyond their geographies, they decided to start Greenpenny so that we could help finance a sustainable tomorrow in more communities across the Midwest. So indeed, we lend in the state of Wisconsin, obviously, also Iowa, of course, Minnesota, Illinois, and then last year we added Missouri. What makes us unique? Well, we're committed to the business and the cause of renewable energy adoption. So that means that we're going to keep our economics, we're going to keep our rates reasonable because we want to see these projects happen. We want to finance a sustainable tomorrow. So in our residential program, that means we don't charge upfront dealer hookup fees or financing fees or whatever those are called. We don't ask installers to add 25 or 30% over and above the price of their systems to fund a financing program. We don't do that. We are straight community bank, transparent financing. We have terms up to 20 years. We have a $150 loan origination fee. That is it. And in fact, for attendees here, if you or somebody you know would like to take advantage of a residential solar loan, if you come to our booth or call us or come by our website, we have a special referral code, RENEW, R-E-N-E-W, and we'll waive half of that fee. So it'll be $75 instead of $150 for a residential program for attendees of the conference. We do commercial lending as well. So we do projects up to 10 million, all types, nonprofits, municipalities, school districts, universities, churches, hospitals. We do ag, we do businesses small and large, and we there too try to be flexible because those projects are all unique. And so we have to adapt to the unique circumstances of those projects to make them work economically. And if whatever reason we can't, because we can't be flexible enough, the economics just aren't going to pencil, we're going to explain why. We're going to be transparent because that's what good community bankers do. And finally, we are a bank, so it means we have a relatively lower cost of funds that enables us to provide, we think, really important feasible economics to projects to make them happen. It also means that something else that's unique about us, we are pledging that all the deposits that we gather at greenpenny.com will only be used to finance renewable energy projects, mostly solar, or carbon reducing activities as well. So you can know that your hard-earned deposits are not going to go to things that might not be aligned with your values, like the fossil fuel industry. We are going to deploy all of ours to renewable energy and carbon reducing projects. So that's Greenpenny. We're here. We've got a booth out there. There's 6 of us here. We've got Mike, our commercial lender, Jessica Reese, our marketing and communications director, Becky Mitchell, who runs our green mortgage program, Karen and Trayton, who are on our commercial lending team, credit analysts and banking assistants. So if you see us, say hi. We're here. We're really excited to be here. Let's have a great conference, everybody. Thanks so much.
And I definitely think Greenpenny is in the running for the best masks. Awesome. Thank you. So it is now my great pleasure to introduce a man who needs very little introduction, Michael Vickerman, the Policy Director of Renew Wisconsin. Under Michael's direction from 1991 to 2012, Renew formulated and mobilized political support for renewable policies, including a statewide 10% renewable requirement by 2015, uniform siting and permitting standards for wind generators, and incentives for customer-sited renewable energy in the Focus on Energy program. As policy director, Michael advances the interests of renewable energy producers and purchasers in legislative and regulatory proceedings, as well as through public forums. Throughout his decades of leadership at Renew Wisconsin, he has shaped and he continues to drive the narrative forward on renewable energy. So please join me in welcoming Michael Vickerman.
Thank you for that really nice introduction, Heather. And welcome, everybody. This is the part of the program where we get to shrink a whole year into a 15-minute joyride, we'll call it. And so, yeah, this is our annual rapid fire warp speed review of the trends and accomplishments that transpired last year over Wisconsin's clean energy marketplace. It's fair to say that the clean energy landscape last year saw an unusual blend of steady growth and increasing uncertainty. And this combination figures to persist into this year. Factors that are shaping the current climate include strong demand for clean energy, industry growing pains, and a lack of new policy action at the federal level. So, in the words of Jean-Luc Picard, engage. Whoops. Sorry. Come on, you. Back. All right. Very, very sensitive. All right, here we go. So to put 2021 in a meaningful context, let's revisit where we stood at the end of 2020. In that year, solar power broke through the confined submarkets where it had been operating and burst out into the open, recording triple-digit growth in terms of capacity. "2021 saw an amplification of the trends we noted in 2020 across all submarkets, from the smallest to the largest. The pipeline of utility scale solar projects continues to grow. Who would have thought 4 years ago that we would see nearly a gigawatt of solar power approved by the Public Service Commission in only 1 calendar year? As you can see, the two largest projects, Badger Hollow and Point Beach, accounted for nearly 80% of the solar capacity that came online in 2021. Of the remaining 75 megawatts, utility distributed solar projects like O'Brien Solar Fields and Solar Now constitute about 50 megawatts of that subtotal, and customer owned projects the other 25 megawatts. Today, we have about 653 megawatts of solar power capacity in operation. As shown in the table, the solar coaster, to borrow Arch founder Ed Zinthofer's evocative phrase, experienced a huge upswing in 2020, and the accelerated growth track kept barreling along through 2021. Now, as we gaze upon this picturesque vista near Cochrane, about a mile west of the Mississippi River along Highway 35, let's see what's in store for us this year. In 2021, the PSC issued certificates of public convenience and necessity for 6 solar farms totaling 950 megawatts of generating capacity. Now, Wisconsin Power and Light has already received permission to acquire the Wood County project and the Grant County project and the Onion River project. And construction has already started on Wood County, and we should see groundbreaking this spring in Grant County and Onion River. This April, the PSC will rule on Koshkonong Solar, a 300 megawatt solar farm paired with the largest battery energy storage facility proposed in Wisconsin to date. If approved, the PSC will then move on to rule on an application filed by We Energies, Wisconsin Public Service, and Madison Gas and Electric to acquire the facility from Invenergy. These energy storage components that are part of these three projects are designed to spread the flow of solar generation across a wider time window. With the capability of providing grid support after sundown, combining solar and storage will reduce the need for generation from other utility sources during late afternoon peak periods. So I've got a couple of numbers up here. These numbers are intended to help us gauge the output from this current wave of solar power plants as a percentage of Wisconsin electricity sales. All right, so from dividing 2,604 megawatts by 325 megawatts, just a little early morning math here, we arrive at the following conclusion. The amount of utility scale solar presently operating or under construction or in the permitting pipeline should account for about 8% of Wisconsin's electricity sales by the end of 2025. We're about 1% now. So that represents a word I don't get to use very often, an octupling. Two things to note about the renewable generation landscape presently serving Wisconsin utility customers. The first is that wind power right now contributes more than 70% of the renewable power supply here in the state, while solar clocks in at 1%. Much of this wind power capacity is located in neighboring states. But with solar farms such as Badger Hollow Second Phase, North Rock, and Bear Creek, which are both Alliant projects, coming online in 2022, the geographical center of Wisconsin's renewable generation landscape will inexorably shift east from the state of Iowa on the left to Iowa County and its neighbors on the right. And as a treat we don't get to cite every year, we look forward to welcoming Red Barn, the first wind power project to be built in Wisconsin since Quilt Block in 2017. Originally developed by Minnesota-based Project Resources Corporation, Red Barn will have 28 turbines totaling nearly 92 megawatts, yielding $368,000 a year in utility local revenues to local governments in Grant County. This slide shows the location of 12 solar generating facilities that Alliant Energy would like to add to its generating portfolio in the next 4 years. If all are constructed and placed in service by 2024, Alliant, Wisconsin Power and Light, would source close to 20% of the electricity it sells in Wisconsin from solar power. That's pretty impressive. In addition to the construction and acquisition dockets on its plate, the Public Service Commission will be working its way through multiple proceedings affecting the role of energy efficiency and customer-sided renewables over the foreseeable future. What you see there, those 5 dockets, makes for a very crowded calendar. At the outset, I mentioned that heightening uncertainty going forward. It turns out that the cost of building solar now is trending upward after many years following a downward trajectory. This is affecting solar pricing in all of its various submarkets, big, medium, small. This new market environment, characterized by rising commodity prices and bottlenecks in transporting equipment from one country to another, is not only affecting the cost of solar, but also construction schedules. It has become more of a challenge for contractors to organize equipment deliveries and mobilize work crews to construct projects. Installation turnaround times are a little longer than they were 2 years ago. This is a new and exciting wrinkle. Dane County has recently secured a permit to host a 17-megawatt solar farm on land it owns east of Madison. The county's objective here is to apply the renewable energy credits created by this project to offset carbon emissions associated with the county's electricity consumption and offset it at 100%. But the electricity will flow into Alliant's distribution system. Sunvest, a Wisconsin-based solar developer, will be responsible for the project's construction and operation. So developed by One Energy Renewables, the 7.5 megawatt Hodag solar farm near Rhinelander will start producing power for WPS later this winter. 4 of the 5 investor-owned utilities here are now integrating distributed solar generation in one form or another with facilities that they own. All right, so let's shift to the residential sector for a second. The purpose of solar group purchase programs is to increase market penetration of residential and small commercial solar PV through a combination of targeted education and price reductions through volume purchasing. Programs serving Greater Milwaukee, Waukesha, Jefferson counties, and Madison posted especially strong results in 2021. So beginning in 2016, residential solar group buys have averaged about 200 installations a year and leveraged about 1.25 megawatts a year statewide. After being absolutely flattened by the COVID pandemic last year, solar group programs rebounded in 2021, affirming the value of this outreach model. So Grow Solar Greater Milwaukee, operated by Midwest Renewable Energy Association in partnership with municipalities, Arch Solar, and other nonprofits, experienced its best year ever, leveraging 421 kilowatts of solar capacity at 64 locations. All right, so now we proceed on to the travelogue through Wisconsin, in which we take note of the new clean energy installations across the state. These new projects showcase the widening appeal of clean energy to businesses, farms, schools, nonprofits, healthcare networks, and tribal entities, to name just a few categories. All right, let's start with Badger Hollow. Here are the numbers on the first phase of Badger Hollow Solar Farm. When the second phase is completed, hopefully by the end of this year, Badger Hollow will supply more than 600,000 megawatts a year to the utilities identified in the slide. Here is Dane County's largest solar farm, and that was placed in service last summer. O'Brien Solar Fields produces power exclusively for 7 customers through MGE's Renewable Energy Rider program. Those customers are State of Wisconsin, UW-Madison, City of Fitchburg, Playcon, Promega, Willie Street Grocery, and Tribe 9 Foods. Mastodon Solar, consisting of 4 solar farms in western Wisconsin, follows the template used for One Energy Renewables Butter Solar projects from 2 years ago. Electricity is sold to the electric provider, while renewable energy certificates are split off and sold to another entity via a long-term contract. Governor Evers spoke at the dedication of the Strobus project in Jackson County last fall. In the Mastodon projects, the solar arrays are spaced farther apart than is typical. This relatively generous spacing allows landowners to integrate more traditional agricultural activities like grazing amongst the solar panels. Pewaukee-based Sunvest develops solar arrays owned by We Energies on large customer properties. The electricity is produced from these arrays, which can be as large as 2.25 megawatts, and is fed directly into the grid. Regal Ware on the left is in West Bend, while Cree Lighting is in Racine. For the Solar Now program, Sunvest designs the installations and procures the equipment, while local contractors such as Current, Arch, Endries, and Pieper Power perform the construction and interconnection work. With their large loads, healthcare networks are capable of fully absorbing the output from very large rooftop arrays in real time. As a result of its ongoing carbon reduction initiative, Aspirus Health now hosts nearly 1,700 kilowatts of solar power serving 10 facilities across Wisconsin. Dane County's William Lunny Lake Farm Park hosts 66 kilowatts of solar capacity on open air shelters and the park's campground facilities. The shelter pictured on the right provided the venue last summer for Renew's 30th anniversary gala, which is pictured on the left. In the shadow of the Milwaukee Regional Medical Center in Wauwatosa, Legacy Solar Cooperative and Arch developed and installed these rooftop arrays for Kathy's house. The new guest house opened its doors last year. Third-party financing was instrumental in making on-site solar generation a reality here. For this particular facility built for Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County, Legacy Solar Cooperative and WES Engineering teamed up to develop and construct the rooftop array pictured here. As with Kathy's house, third-party financing helped make this project happen as well. One important trend emerging in Wisconsin right now is the pairing of renewable natural gas production with solar power. The installation pictured here, one of the largest arrays in Wisconsin serving a single customer, is paired with Green Valley Dairy's biodigester and RNG facility near Krakow in Brown County. Arch designed and constructed the 1.8 megawatt installation. At this location, not far from here, outside of Middleton, NTech and Northern Biogas teamed up to transform this community biodigester, once owned by Gunderson Health, into a veritable renewable energy campus, combining the production of pipeline-grade RNG and the output from 2.8 megawatts of rooftop and ground mount solar connected to a microgrid on site. Wisconsin schools and the communities they serve are fortunate to have private philanthropic sources and solar cooperatives as resources to support their clean energy aspirations. These entities are essential for expanding solar energy's reach to nonprofits that cannot take advantage of federal tax credits. The projects pictured above engage solar contractors located near their school districts. Coulyard Solar Foundation was founded 5 years ago by Cal and Lori Coulyard. Since its formation, the foundation has worked with other nonprofits like MREA and Renew to develop programs for delivering on-site solar to nearly 150 nonprofits at a phenomenally low cost of $193 a kilowatt. Partnering with Legacy Solar Cooperative and a strong renewable energy champion within the school district, Hayward-based Carlson Electric designed and built 750 kilowatts of solar capacity serving 3 different schools. Key to these projects going forward was the participation of a local business providing tax equity financing. NTech has placed in service several solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations in Wisconsin, including the installation pictured above serving Green Bay's airport. This solar and storage project provides resilient electric service to the Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. The 3 microgrids are independent systems that are associated with the tribe's health and wellness center, the wastewater treatment plant, and the Chief Blackbird Administration building. A critical part of the project's financing came in the form of a $1 million grant from U.S. Department of Energy. That grant proposal was prepared by Check Bay Renewables, a local clean energy organization in that area. More about Check Bay Renewables in the next hour. A new renewable energy like this one for Habitat for Humanity in Dane County is always a case for celebration. Nonprofits who received assistance through the Solar for Good grant program for their solar systems are expected to host a ribbon cutting ceremony after the installation goes online. Ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings never get old. Let's have a few more this year. And with that, it's on to the next part of our program. Now we're going to have a panel discussion under the theme of All Roads Lead to Clean Energy. And I'd like to invite all our speakers to come on stage and we'll begin the discussion. Okay. And there are plenty of open seats in the front, so please feel free to move forward. from and get a little closer to us. We don't bite. Oh, great. Hi. You all mic'd up? Okay. Thank you. So all in. All right. All right. Thank you. Oh, okay. I understand. So here with me are 5 panelists who will discuss the clean energy pathways that they are most interested in and pursuing, and they will also describe what progress they will have made, that they have already made so far. We're focusing on pathways that I'll discuss in pathways they will discuss in hopes of 1, inspiring more official commitments to clean energy, 2, improving alignment of public policy with clean energy aspirations at all levels, and 3, the German 3, freeing up more private and public investment to accelerate that transition. To play on the main theme of this summit, we're aiming to create more roads leading to clean energy, the desired destination here, and to step up the traffic flow on these roads. So I'm going to introduce all 5 panelists together, and then Josh will take the floor. So Josh Arnold is the Campus Energy Advisor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison Office of Sustainability, where he is responsible for coordinating renewable energy and strategic energy planning efforts at UW-Madison's main campus of over 24 million square feet of facilities and properties under management on behalf of the UW Board of Regents, including over 15,000 acres across the state of Wisconsin. Bill Bailey is with us, a resident of Bayfield. Bill Bailey is president of the 100% volunteer nonprofit Check Bay Renewables. Coupled with energy partners Madison Solar Consulting and Mcduff Analytics, Check Bay Renewables has worked across multiple municipal, tribal, utility, and private boundaries to collaborate and find economic and environmental solutions in today's energy transition. Recent projects include 3 microgrids for the Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, which I showed you just a few minutes ago. And we are delighted here to welcome Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. Mandela Barnes serves as Wisconsin's 45th Lieutenant Governor. He was elected on November 8th, 2018. He is the first African-American to serve as Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin and the second African-American elected to statewide office. Within his current role, Lieutenant Governor Barnes serves as the chair of the governor's task force on climate change and also serves on numerous other councils and task forces. Elise Coulyard is a Switch to Solar coordinator for Legacy Solar Co-op. Elise is also the treasurer of the Coulyard Solar Foundation, which donates solar panels to schools and nonprofits with the goal to enable service and educational community groups to participate in the solar renewable energy revolution. And we have Cooper Johnson. Now with Invenergy, Cooper has been proudly building out Wisconsin's solar infrastructure for the past 11 years. A transplant from Chicago, Cooper started his career building solar panels at Helios Solar Works in Milwaukee, and has since had the privilege of installing and maintaining commercial and residential projects, managing utilities after-sales service projects with Convergence Energy, Arch, and Ingeteam. He and his colleagues at Invenergy lead the transition to a carbon-free future in the Badger State. So to summarize what we have here, with Josh, a large institutional customer with land and load. With Bill, we have multiple grassroots initiatives targeting one region. With Elise, we have cooperative financing for small scale nonprofits and other entities. From Cooper, we have the utility scale generation and storage picture. And from Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, state level policy goals and initiatives. So I've asked the panelists basically to identify and define their particular clean energy goals, and also to describe the pathways that that their institution or their company are pursuing to reach that goal. And each have different pathways to describe. And so why don't we get started here with Josh. So Josh, thank you very much. So,
How do we advance?
okay. So what you do here, that's there, perfect. And then you have to kind of, well,
While we work that out.
okay.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Good morning. At UW-Madison, designing a road to clean energy by 2030 is a critical piece of our sustainability goals. My name is Josh Arnold. I'm with the UW-Madison Office of Sustainability, and I'm part of the team working to achieve these goals. While we still have a long way to go, we are happy to share some quick updates about success we've had over the last couple of years. We've built institutional capacity on campus through the formation of a Sustainability Advisory Council. We've elevated sustainability in research and learning opportunities. We've added staff with expertise to support research and sustainable campus operations. We've worked more closely with our colleagues across UW system, state and local government, and the private sector. We've initiated a series of pilot projects towards a smart campus, beneficial electrification, and increasing community resilience. Our institutional mission challenges us to think about planning a clean energy portfolio with the Wisconsin idea top of mind. And I'll share 3 examples. By 2030, we aim to increase opportunities for collaboration at our main campus while building out at least 3 megawatts of clean energy, in part through solar canopies at facilities like you're looking at here. Also looking at parking structures and bus stops. You're looking at the future home of the UW-Madison School of Computer, Data, and Information Sciences, a thriving and welcoming learning community delivering cutting-edge education to prepare students for the high-tech economy, and designed as the most sustainable building on our campus. Currently in design development, this project is aiming for a LEED Platinum Plus designation, in part by targeting a very low energy use intensity and incorporating solar shading canopies like the one you see here. The canopy will not only provide shade, but it will contribute to a welcoming environment for students of all backgrounds and identities to share work, share ideas, and pursue their interests in Wisconsin's technology economy. By designing with sustainability and resilience in mind, we will create new spaces that foster collaboration while we achieve our clean energy goals. Inspiration. Many of you were at this nice warm day last summer down in Fitchburg, and it's part of our institutional mission to inspire the leaders of tomorrow and honor the contributions of our alumni who are shaping our clean energy future. You're looking at UW-Madison students and staff learning firsthand from several Badger alumni who had key roles at the O'Brien Solar Fields in Fitchburg, where our institution is an anchor tenant. Projects like this one currently account for about 5% of our campus electricity. By 2030, we plan to triple our participation in electric utility programs like this one across the state. Projects like this bring us closer to our clean energy goals while bringing students closer to clean energy. Plus, it was the best field trip of the summer. These happy heifers that you're looking at are feeding from a solar-powered green feed machine, which measures emissions as they feed. Agricultural research stations, like the Marshfield Station near Stratford, provide fertile ground to test emerging technology and build out our clean energy research enterprise. UW-Madison hosts over $400 million a year in sustainability-related research, the most of any Midwestern university. We're currently assessing over 15,000 acres of land, like the Marshfield Agricultural Research Station, for opportunities to expand our sustainability research, such as in the area of agrivoltaics or the co-location of renewable energy with agricultural activities. By 2030, we aim to identify up to 10% of this land for such research. When fully built out, we would generate the clean electricity equivalent of our main campus electricity load, while increasing our sustainability research portfolio. Our clean energy goals and strategies will be continually refreshed based on the rapidly changing energy marketplace in Wisconsin. We're interested in hearing your ideas on how to achieve clean energy and sustainability goals. Going forward, there will be a range of opportunities to get involved: procurements, public meetings, adding to our team at the university, and telling our story. I look forward to speaking with all of you today about how you can be involved with our clean energy future. Thank you for your attention, and on Wisconsin.
Hi, everyone. Check by Renewable's goal is to be an energy resource for our community, to help others understand and use renewable energy. We are 100% volunteer. We are small, and we operate on a shoestring budget. We were inspired by a quote from Pete Seeger: "I think the world is going to be saved by a million small things." We live in a small community where people know each other, and to be an influencer doesn't take a million followers. We also relate to the Jewish tradition of tzedakah, where first you help yourself. And by that, in this case, I mean you concentrate on your own carbon footprint, and then you help your family, and then you extend on into the community. We reach our goals through education, project development, collaboration, energy tracking, and demonstrating new technologies. And I'll touch briefly on each one of those. We get questions on our website like, do you have solar leasing in Bayfield County? Or can I heat my house with solar PV? We usually get that one during a polar vortex. There is definitely a need for solar education. You can't utilize solar or renewable energy without understanding it. We use our website as a database to help get renewable energy for our local area. In 2014, we started a community solar garden with our electric cooperative. We engaged with the community members directly, the co-op members, and we held many community-style information sessions. The relationships we built there helped us onto our next project, our solar group buys. And we did the same thing. We held many community-style information sessions. We have become the community hub for renewable energy. Over time, trust is built. Now, questions from the community plot the course forward. As we develop community-wide sustainability plans, we learn together about such things as EVs, EV charging stations, and electrifying everything. Education is no longer a one-way path, but rather a community discussion. Money is a common denominator in developing projects. Projects must be financially sound to get off the ground, and this focus on economics is essential. I view economics as simple. There's income and there's expenses. If the economics get too complicated, it might be time to step back and look at the basics. Incentives like net metering and grant opportunities are important, but so is getting a good installation price to begin with. We like to collaborate to achieve cost reduction through economy of scale. We achieved that economy of scale through our solar group buys, both residential and commercial, which leads me to the next point, collaboration. Most of our projects have three stakeholders: the site owner, the consulting team, and the utility. Pulling everyone together on the same page is the challenge of collaboration. It is important that the site owner's top management is on board with the project. Bayfield County has been successful because of its county administrator. The Bad River Band of Lake Superior Chippewa are successful because of their tribal leadership. Check Bay Renewables is part of a larger consulting team, experts that we pull from outside the community. Understanding the differences between electric cooperatives and investment on utilities are necessary for successful communication. Utilities are our partners, they're not our adversaries. The connections we have made over the years at these Renew conferences have been our most valued collaborators. There are at least two reasons to track data: to measure what you have already done, and to have data available to design to what you're going to do next. To reach carbon neutrality, we need more than just solar PV. We will need storage and smart controls to optimize the dispatch of energy. Without data, we cannot design for the future. Our approach has led to more advanced concepts. Now is the time to prepare for a future where ancillary markets will enhance revenue streams. Smart microgrids can optimize economic dispatch. Microgrids are proof that sustainability and reliability go hand in hand. Cloud-based intelligent control and a universally accepted gateway to the microgrid are concepts we're demonstrating in Bayfield County. So that's our vision. There may be many roads to get to where we need to go, but Check Bay Renewable's path in northern Wisconsin is run by a small organization, is simple, operates on a low budget, and involves working together with people who feel as we do that clean energy is the path forward. Thank you.
Alrighty, good morning. So Legacy Solar Co-op's goal towards this clean energy pathway forward is to unite communities and solar champions as we grow solar through education, accessibility, and advocacy. So I'm going to be talking about those three pathways of education, accessibility, and advocacy. You might see a lot of crossover between what Bill was talking about as well. So we are an educational resource for our members. We're cooperative based, so we have a lot of members that are all part of our organization. And we educate about group buys, both ours and other statewide initiatives. Our tax sponsors and host sites are always educated about the solar project and in process. We want to make sure everybody's feeling comfortable about what they're doing moving forward. We promote all incentives and rebates available, including solar energy certificates, a market that we feel should be more active in Wisconsin. We give a lot of presentations. Not all of them are as big as this one today. Some of them are to friends of groups, sustainability councils, green teams, community groups, nonprofit organizations, municipal groups, and sustainability events. And our presentations are tailored, so we can talk about general solar basics, where solar is going in Wisconsin, or they can be really in depth about the exact steps an organization is looking to take or is going to take in their project forward. Accessibility. We want solar resources to be accessible at every level. We assist with grant writing. We have solar renewable certificate subscriptions available for individuals who are looking to counter their carbon for an event, a flight, or their own home usage of electricity. And those start at a pretty low rate. We also offer solar bonds. We have solar group buys, which offer great rates for our homeowners, and tax financing, which makes solar feasible for nonprofits when upfront costs are high. So all of our programs and our services are advocating for solar. Our members are some of the fiercest solar advocates we know. Our workshops are focused on the role of the attendee. What can they do moving forward? Is it a solar project for their nonprofits that they're associated with? Are they part of a school board? And do they want to bring solar to their school? What can they do to really get involved in this movement? And solar bonds allow for community investment in local solar projects. The grant writing provides much needed funds for worthy projects. A tax financing allows a solar champion to be supporting a worthy organization. And we often act as kind of a personal solar agents to our homeowners when they're getting involved in a solar group buy, or they are just looking for some residential consulting services. And we purchase some of our solar producers SRECs. So in that way, we're also incentivizing that decision to go solar upfront. And that's Legacy Solar Co-op. There was one more slide. It was not there. Okay.
The side, the sidebars in. It's not a huge deal. It's like full screen. Yeah. Get it. Good morning. Thanks to everybody here. It's an honor to join the stage with all the leaders and everybody working with us in Wisconsin to build out the new renewable infrastructure of the future. My name is Cooper Johnson. Work with Invenergy. We are a utility scale solar developer working here in Wisconsin. We've had a lot of success and we want to continue that. We are innovators building a sustainable world. It's our motto and expresses who we are and our vision for the future. Since 2008 in Wisconsin, we've challenged ourselves and our allies to innovate in everything that they do in the communities that we all serve. To date, we've completed development on 8 utility scale developments, sustainable energy projects. That's over 1 gigawatt of Wisconsin grown clean power here in the state. From Forward Wind in 2008 to Darien Solar and Storage in 2021. As Michael mentioned earlier, the first phase of Badger Hollow came online this past December, delivering once more on the promise economic and environmentally for renewables to bring to our communities. In sum, Invenergy's Wisconsin projects will invest $6.5 million annually, have created over 1,000 construction jobs during peak construction, but the future is even more promising as utility scale renewable development transforms our economy and our energy future. We aim to lead this ongoing transformation, but obviously we can't do it alone. Engagement with our local stakeholders is essential to our continued growth and our success here in Wisconsin. And our success here was built on strong relationships. The challenge we put to ourselves each day is to continue building a broad coalition of support that's willing and able to articulate the value renewables bring to our communities, using a public process that works. Wisconsin utilities are electing to decarbonize their fleets at an astonishing pace and are turning toward renewables to fill the gap. Utility scale projects are going to be essential for them to meet these goals and these mandates. Landowners, local governments, businesses, schools, and neighbors from all backgrounds stand to benefit from the transition to clean power, but sustained active engagement is key to getting these homegrown clean power projects off the page and into the earth. Regulators and local leaders need to hear our community's voices of support in order for us to succeed in this effort. Beyond protecting a process that works, we need to attract and develop ideas that broaden the positive impacts of our projects. Increasingly, we've seen the conversation surrounding utility scale solar center on land use. Across the state, Invenergy is demonstrating how something as fundamental as the earth beneath our arrays can amplify the benefits of solar at scale. Creative vegetation management strategies can reduce stormwater runoff, preventing thousands of pounds of phosphorus and nitrogen from entering local waterways while aligning with the community's rural values. But that's not all we've learned from our stakeholders in our communities. Local folks have introduced us to honey and lamb producers, prairie and bird enthusiasts, and local farmers with fresh ideas on how to put our land to good use. With thousands of megawatts of projects on the horizon, Wisconsin is poised to be a leader in the region, but we need to continue engaging and sourcing ideas locally to preserve this position. Partners like Renew Wisconsin, leadership across the state, renewable businesses, and local voices are central to strengthening this message. I want to thank everybody here today working alongside us to build a new, cleaner energy future for Wisconsin.
Thank you so much, Josh, Bill, Elise, and Cooper. That was to my point of view, this was about as inspiring a set of visions going forward and being as practical and as collaborative about it as possible. And now we are fortunate to have Lieutenant Governor Barnes with us to share his perspective. So I asked Lieutenant Governor Barnes the following question, which is, well, it's been 2.5 years since the Executive Order 38 was issued. That's what articulates the clean energy goals of the Evers administration. What are the areas that you're seeing the most progress on the clean energy front? Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here. Really glad to have listened to everybody. It was inspiring and informative, and it's very forward thinking, which is what we have to be in the business of, especially in government, especially given the fact that Wisconsin has been a leader traditionally in renewable energy, but we sort of lost our way. And this is the time for us to reclaim our place on that mantle across this country, across the globe for that matter. We have tremendous opportunities. I always remind people I come from a manufacturing background. My grandfather worked in a factory. My dad was on an assembly line, and my dad assembled catalytic converters. And, you know, that's very important to my personal story, but it's also important to the advocacy work that I do around renewable energy, because again, catalytic converters were only made necessary because of the implementation of the Clean Air Act requiring less emission standards for vehicles. And so that approach not only helped to protect air quality in this country, but also created jobs for thousands of people across the state, across the country. And this is another opportunity for Wisconsin to not only install solar panels and renewable energy projects around the state, but also get in the business of making those parts right here in Wisconsin. So the question was, 2.5 years have passed since executive order number 38. That was just a part of my long form answer. But I just want to first thank everybody for having me, and really, really appreciative of this conversation taking place. And I appreciate the ongoing partnership with Renew. We were proud to present the commendation on behalf of the governor at the 30th anniversary celebration. Cheers to another 30 years and another 30 after that. And among many others in the crowd, on this work that you all started before we took office. You all have been doing this work when things were much more uncertain. We didn't know, or you didn't know, if there was going to be support from the state. And we know that you'll continue to influence policymaking for years to come. Now, where I'm seeing the most progress is maybe how, not necessarily where. And one of the prevailing themes from everybody who spoke before was collaboration. And now we have to see this work through, but it has to be done in an inclusive and equitable and all of the above approach that centers environmental justice, in my opinion. And I'm glad, to hear the collaboration and the desire to want to bring in our rural communities and agriculture spaces, as they say, is, not the cow, it's the how. And that's how we look at all this work. We have to focus on how it can and will lift historic burdens from low-income communities to communities of color. And there has to be an opportunity for people to make their own communities healthier, provide economic benefit to parts of the state that had been traditionally left behind or harmed by the present day energy economy. Now, I've been honored to help lead this work within the administration, and I've had a chance to work with many people who are in the room here today. And having served as chair of the governor's task force on climate change and leading this critical work, again, it goes back to those partnerships and the collaboration that we so desperately need to make sure that this happens the right way. Now, we assembled a diverse and a bipartisan coalition of folks from all across Wisconsin. We had representation from, again, agriculture, the business community, our tribal leaders, utility companies, labor groups, youth climate activists, and other industries and communities from across the state. And one quick note on the youth climate activist part, when we first took office, I guess, some students heard that I was interested in making sure that we do the work to address climate change in a meaningful way in this state, and they showed up to my office and they did not show up happy. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, hey, I'm on your side. we don't disagree on anything. And we had a chance to talk, and one of the people who stormed my office in a good way. She ended up on the task force and ended up, interning in the office currently. And I'm very proud to make sure that we continue to bring in more people. I think we should look around in any space, any room that we're in, and we should always think about who's missing, or when people show up, we got to give space and listen and take in those perspectives. Now, we heard from experts, we held public listening sessions, and we had a lot of discussions over the course of the task force's formal work. Over 1,000 people across the state participated in listening sessions, and we had many discussions. And we had people from all but 3 of the 72 counties participate in some sort of way, which was exciting, right? We were supposed to go on a statewide tour, but 2020 happened, and this work happened virtually, which probably allowed for more people to be able to participate. So there was a silver lining. And this resulted in a final report of 55 recommendations that span 9 different sectors: climate justice and equity, energy, transportation, agriculture, resilient systems, clean economy, education, food systems, and forestry. And we centered environmental justice in that work. We started our first task force meeting with the training on environmental justice, which was new to some people. And we brought together those voices from the table that have been unheard in the past, some of the groups that I mentioned before. And I'm proud that this work has helped inform the work on the clean energy plan that is currently being developed through our Office of Sustainability and Clean Energy, also created through executive order. Now, I want to give a shout out to Maria Radman, who's the director of that office, and the whole office for her work, not only on this plan, but the work that she did to coordinate the task force and ongoing agency and stakeholder engagement on clean energy. Many people in the room know Maria. If you don't, please introduce yourself and let's think of more ways that we can collaborate. Not to put more work on our plate, but we want to make sure that we do this in the most comprehensive way possible. Look, she'll be delighted to hear from you. Believe me. Everybody just email her once. She'll love it. But what's important is that we develop a key pathway or key pathways and strategies to transition to a clean energy economy through actionable, high impact, multi-sector and a multi-resource approach. And the Clean Energy Plan will outline specific strategies that directly address climate change, that prioritize environmental justice and ensure accelerated movement towards a strong, clean energy economy. And I want to remind people that we are very far behind on this work. We've been in office for 2.5 years, but we are probably a decade behind the ball where we should be, if I'm going to be very honest about this. And it's not a secret or a surprise to any of you who are in here who've been doing this work. And now the Clean Energy Plan also includes 4 pathways to create momentum and action towards a clean and reliable energy future, including ways to promote clean energy technology development, to maximize energy efficiency, to modernize infrastructure and industry, and to innovate transportation. And I am looking forward to the release of the plan and continuing to work with communities from all across the state to put Wisconsin on the path toward equitable access and clean energy, most importantly, leadership in this country that we so desperately deserve on clean energy. I'm excited to be a part of this work. I'm excited to be a part of this work with you all here. And I'm excited to see what's next. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much for that. I want to also thank you for, we had a picture before of the solar shelter at Lake Farm Park, and you graced us our 30th gala, our 30th anniversary with some your commendation, and that was very, very much appreciated. Thank you very much for that. So now we're going to open it up to more of a round robin discussion about what each of the panelists are seeing as they pursue their vision and engage and work with allies and stakeholders. It's not a frictionless plane out there. There are obstructions and potholes and the various things that we put under the category of stuff happening. So I wanted to find out what you think are the most troublesome of these roadblocks, and is there a role for the state government or local government or some other entity to resolve these roadblocks? So anybody, feel free just to jump in and start speaking.
We're not getting called on here.
No, okay. Everybody gets to participate. Yeah, go ahead. Or how about Elise? We'll start with Elise.
There you go.
Okay, so I was hoping there was going to be a few more that I could say those also, but I'm actually going to talk about public perception and kind of believing that there are barriers in your way. So I think that is part of the battle and something that I at least feel like I or we have a little bit of control over. So if you go into a project, or even if we're just sitting at a booth and people are stopping by and they're like, solar is really expensive, and then they keep walking, like that's somebody that was lost because they heard at some point that it was too expensive and they weren't even willing to engage. And so things like that, where people aren't yet kind of accepting this idea that renewables are affordable and something that they can do. That is certainly something that we could continue to improve on and be better communicators about how we can make this work for everybody. So that's a big part of what Legacy does. And it's also a big part of what I try to leave a booth, is that everybody's kind of feeling more comfortable and feeling more inspired to say, hey, I had this really good engagement and I think solar could be really good for this project or for this location. And I'm going to talk to this other person about it and have another good experience, and kind of keep that effect of dominoing these good messages instead of it's never going to work, or this isn't going to happen, or it's not going to happen fast enough. I think that's a little less productive. So perception and just changing people's perceptions.
Yeah, I might pile onto that one, as it's challenging out there to make sure the message gets across. Frankly, from the utility scale perspective, we love working here in Wisconsin. The public process has worked. It's been teasing out local impacts and providing an opportunity for folks in communities to raise their voices and express questions, concerns they might have about the future of a new renewable Wisconsin. But so far, we've had 11 projects approved by the state. And again, they are consistently finding that they're low impact and high impact on an economic and environmental front for the state, pushing it forward. We're happy to keep things moving along in the tracks that they are at the utility scale side, but we obviously have to do the hard work of educating and working in our communities to make sure that they understand what we're doing and how these are responsibly sited. So it's really our challenge to really ingratiate ourselves and ensure our communities feel like their voices are understood. So there's a couple of policies that might be able to help push this along that are running through that Invenergy supports. That would, I guess, just make it even better to do business here in Wisconsin, where it's great to do that already. There's a storage sales and use tax bill that's going through right now. We're doing big storage projects, as Michael talked about before. It'd be great to enjoy some of the tax relief that other renewable generation receives for that. We think storage complements and fits and should be supported there. And there's a wonky permitting merging of CPCN processes here. There's 2 permits right now for solar, and then for sometimes the generation tie line, and they become different dockets. And there's a bill out there, SB 47, that will merge them, and that will make permitting a little better here. And then we've made some public comments to the Public Service Commission, just giving some ideas on how to relieve any kind of regulatory burden and continue to, I don't know, as Lieutenant Governor mentioned, catch up. You know, the solar coaster is a hockey stick right now. We're climbing really fast, and we want to make sure that we're able to continue and, you know, bring utility scale online like we are right now. So.
Thank you. Bill?
I guess our biggest barrier is inconsistent policy. I'll give you a little story, a little local story. Back in 2018, 2019, we had Wisconsin's largest solar group buys, I think, in their history. We put in over 1 megawatt of solar, 4 or 5 megawatts at a time. And our local utility, the very next year, decided that they didn't like net metering anymore. So they dropped it. So instead of within their system, instead of putting in like 40, 50 installations a year, it went down to almost nothing. That's where it is now. But I don't want to end the story there, because the next year, 2021, the board decided, well, maybe we should take another look at this. Maybe we overreacted, you know, so they asked the members for input. And that was one of the big complaints. There was no member input. They just did this drop net metering. So the members gave their input. The board decided a pathway that they were going to move forward with. They invited Check Bay Renewables last month to engage with them. We got to see the rate studies that were involved. We saw contracts of how Dairyland bills Bayfield Electric. We were involved in developing a mathematical model to determine how much solar puts on their system, how it affects their bottom line. And now they're going to do, the next step is they're going to do a survey to all of their members. They have about 9,000 accounts, 9,000 members. And the survey is going to ask them, should the co-op incentivize solar? Should they promote solar, or should they not? You know, what's the role of the co-op? And the board has said that they will do what the members want. And they're committed by the 3rd quarter of this year to have a new distributed energy policy. Now, what that distributed energy policy will be, I don't know. But the point is, they went through a democratic process. They talked to their people. the people got an opportunity to come back at them. And that whole process is what's important. And that can relate to all the levels, whether it's state levels, federal levels, whatever. We need to get together and realize this is it's for the benefit of everybody. We all breathe the same air. We all drink the same water. So I think it's a great collaborative story.
Yes, that's interesting. Your utility is a co-op, not an investor-owned utility. And so it takes its directions theoretically and sometimes in real life from its members. Josh, do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no shortage of barriers, but also I'd like to start with some success. You know, with UW-Madison as one of several UW system campuses, there's so much excitement, so much perseverance, and great work happening with our students, our staff, and faculty. And I think one of our biggest challenges is making sure that the people who are doing the work on the ground have a seat at the table at UW system and other state agencies when energy decisions are being made. I think the work that the Office of Clean Energy and Sustainability is doing is a great step in the right direction. The work over at PSC with the Office of Energy Innovation, another great step in the right direction. We need more staff and we need more communication to get work done more quickly.
Yeah, I guess I would just say like the biggest roadblock for me, in my opinion, is the politicization of it all, the polarization unnecessarily. It's like you talked about breathing the same air, drinking the same water. You wouldn't believe it if you had some conversations with a lot of folks, unfortunately. And people would always joke, like, right, given the state of politics in this country right now, maybe, you know, if an alien invasion happened, maybe that'll bring people together. I'm not so sure, because
You haven't seen Don't Look Up.
I have seen it. I have. And it's just like the response to the pandemic is in the same way that we see people respond to climate change and our need to do better, our need to strengthen ourselves to buffer from the impact. But it's just unfortunate, right? It should not be this way at all. And we've done everything we can to leverage executive action. There's still some more things we can do. If you had a chance to check out the Climate Change Task Force report, we're doing as much as we can through the Office of Sustainability and Clean Energy. But we know that legislative action would provide us the most sustained impact. So it's the polarization of it all that just, I don't know.
Yes, it is indeed unnecessarily and unfortunately a polarized environment, and we're not seeing a whole lot of relief from the legislature at this point. But in picking up your various experiences, I'm struck by the fact that on the large utility scale level, things are going relatively smoothly. We have what appears to be a pretty strong residential market for solar, but I'm a little worried about the in-between segment, the community scale projects that would be connected to a utilities distribution system. Utilities can pursue them, but really, so shouldn't citizens also be able to organize themselves in such a way as to coalesce and use the economies of scale, as Bill mentioned, and also because not everybody who is an electricity customer has access to a rooftop that they own and is unshaded. So that leads me to the question of community solar, which is a live policy in many other states, including Midwestern states like Minnesota and Illinois. And I'm just wondering, what could we do? Well, first of all, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that this is a necessary part of the clean energy evolution. But second, what can we do to make those opportunities, like, for example, the O'Brien solar fields that the UW is actually purchasing half the output from that plant. But it's very sporadic, and there's just not enough open doors to expand that across the state. So if you have any ideas about what we and the people in this room could do to open up more opportunities for community scale solar, this would be a great time. So
Michael, I'll get started with that because we've done some work on campus and with our UW system colleagues to think about that. One of the things that we're doing is we're developing a website that has ArcGIS information with information about all of the state-owned properties that are under the control and management of the Board of Regents of the UW system. We are in the process of working with system officials to make that resource available to the public. And when it is available, our goal is to reach out to the marketplace to learn about developers or communities or even individuals or small businesses that might be interested in working with us to identify opportunities, whether it's for community solar or agrivoltaic research or other types of projects that would yield co-benefits, not only in clean energy, but in economic development and advancing research. So resources like sharing information and thinking about how to use public lands for public purposes, that's one opportunity to help solve the challenge.
I can go next. So I attended a lot of the community solar policy meetings that you guys at Renew have put on and that the Capitol put on. So just being involved and being able to speak about it to the greater audience, it makes its way into the Legacy Solar Co-op presentations. And it's something that I encourage people to call their representative about and talk about with their neighbors. And just being generally aware of it and associate with it positively. And with that, I think that you can make that argument depending on your audience. So it's something that doesn't have to be polarized and that you can know your audience and say, what is something that really drives them, that they're really interested in, and then tailor that part of the community solar argument for them because it exists for everybody and everyone's interests in Wisconsin, especially. And then beyond that, know that community solar is this term that we're taking for the legislation, but also solar in your community is already happening and you can already get involved. And if you don't feel like you're involved or invested enough, hit me up. I have plenty of avenues for you to do that. So know that even though community solar is a phrase specifically referring to this legislation that we'd like to see passed, that you can also absolutely put solar in your community and have a group-wide effort to accomplish that. Right now, today, tomorrow, let's get it done.
Yeah. I'll just piggyback too. You mentioned basically meeting people where they are. So there is sort of a community organizing component to it all. You know, there is some public opinion that still has to be shifted. And much of the polarization too is like concentrated in a lot of elected officials, right? It's not everybody's reality in day-to-day life, this sort of polarization. So the more we can talk with people about the benefits of it. A lot of people don't really just think about it as much. They don't think about what the impact of coal burning power plants are, and haven't really had a chance to even explore what solar options are available or what the benefit could be for the household or for the broader community. So yeah, to answer the question, I mean, to get to that 100% renewable energy, community-driven action is a big part of that equation. But I guess there is still a great deal of legwork that we all need to do in terms of educating people, and that's why education was actually part of our climate change task force report. We need to make sure that our students, as they learn about utilities, because I remember learning about how to calculate kilowatt hours and everything in school. Like we should also make sure that we're teaching children, exactly how that energy is generated and what the impact of that energy generation is on them and on their future. I think that is a big part of this conversation as well. I mean, just think about how many things, parents in this room, like your children are brought to you, and it's made you think differently about the world. Like my parents are stubborn, so they only listen to some of the things I brought back home. But the fact is, we can go a long way by just making sure that the right education, the right information is out there and it's in the necessary places. One other place too is through our CAP agencies. When people go sign up for energy assistance as well, and we need to be sure that this is a part of those conversations as well.
Bill or Cooper, we don't have much time left, so this is your opportunity to get in your final thoughts.
Well, I'll just try briefly. Minnesota's got 800 megawatts of solar. Wisconsin's got maybe 8. It's 100 to 1, and it's because of their legislation and the lack of ours. The solution is to pass something in the legislature. We need to present the benefits. Some of the key benefits are it's distributed generation. It's smaller, so the source is generated where it's being used. It's more efficient that way, less line losses, et cetera. So there's one benefit. Another benefit is that there's more people engaged. The more people that you get involved with things, the better it's going to be all across the board. And the third one is the economic justice, or the social, the energy democracy, that a lot of people like to say. There's opportunities there for funding. For example, we had nonprofits when we had community solar in our local area where we bought solar shares for our nonprofits. You could do that. If there's a low income, you could buy them a solar share. So there's economic justice opportunities there. We need to present all the benefits and get everybody on the same board so that the legislation is passed.
Right. So community solar means something a little bit different to us at the utility scale. We're working in these communities. We're trying to demonstrate the value that we bring in. Obviously, there's a very specific context for that here. Invenergy has launched a program called Reactivate. We partnered with holding company Lafayette Square to provide community solar across the country. But in Wisconsin, we're focusing mostly on our core business of utility scale development here. We think it's working and it's providing a lot of benefits to all the local communities in Wisconsin that we're building in.
One last closing comment. We need both. We need both utility scale and community solar and rooftop scale.
Yeah.
We need it all to get to where we need to go.
Sure.
We are a decade behind.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is one of the very best hours that I've spent in my job in over 30 years, listening to the five of you. Thank you very much for bringing your vision, your energy, and your groundedness into this discussion. I think we can make progress even with the political barriers that are so plain to see. But again, let's give the five panelists a huge hand. And so now, don't leave, everybody. We have a couple of renewable energy stories to share with you. If Sam is here, Sam is going to lead us on a couple of travelogues in the state of Wisconsin. And
We can go.
yeah, thank you. Sorry.
We weren't dismissed properly.
No, I was never a teacher. Here you go, Sam.
Our morning break is coming up shortly, but we do have one more short segment here, and that is it's my favorite part of the summit. It's the renewable energy stories. As you've seen already this morning, there's a lot of X's and O's at our summit. A lot of talk about kilowatt hours, volts, et cetera, et cetera. But the stories is the part of the summit where we get to talk about the human side of these renewable energy projects, the way that these are affecting real lives in real time. And we have two great stories coming up today. And without further ado, the one thing I don't like about this segment is it's really short. The speakers have only 5 minutes to tell their stories. The slides progress automatically. So I like to say they're fun, fast, and informative. 3 Fs if you forget the IN on the informative part. So our first story today comes from Veronica Wright. She is the founder and owner of Electrified Veronica, which is an organization that raises public awareness about electrification and renewable energy. She will be telling her story today titled, Converting a Jeep to Electric, Electrify Your Life. So I'm gonna hit play and then you're on.
Okay. Okay, I have very, very good news for you. Every major car maker in this entire world has realized maybe it's a good idea to go electric. All electric by 2025, by 2030. That sounds all wonderful, right? My question for you, who of you is driving electric right now? That's wonderful. I see a couple hands here. You may see that I am not raising my hand yet. So when I moved here from Austria into this beautiful house in Wisconsin, there was not many options for us to go all electric. So we went with the Ford Edge here. Now, if you look at the roads in Wisconsin, especially in the Midwest, you will agree that almost 100% of the cars are still internal combustion engines vehicles, right? So what are we doing with all these cars that we have on the road while all the major automakers are making new ones? So I see a huge opportunity in converting cars to electric instead of buying new ones. And the best thing about this is that you can choose your dream car. My dream car is a 1990 Wrangler, just from the show like in Gilmore Girls, a TV show that maybe some of you know. So this is my absolute dream car. And a year ago, I decided to convert this car to electric. So I am very happy that a couple of months ago, I have finally found the right car. And thank you so much, Renew Wisconsin, for actually funding this project by awarding me the EV for Goods grant. Now, every good project starts in the garage, right? I mean, this is, at least in America, you start out in the garage. So who is the project team? It's myself and it's my husband, and we're working on that actually in the evenings and on the weekends. I am a consultant in the battery industry, and I thought, let's do something hands-on so I can prove people that I'm not just a good talker or a PowerPoint engineer. So what do you need to do to convert a car to electric? So first of all, you have to get rid of the engine, the transmission, the gas tank, and then you have to think about what are you putting in there, like e-motor, inverter, batteries, and this is what you can see here. So the current status of the project looks a little bit different, and I have to be honest with you, I am not so confident that we actually get this car back together ever again. It's on a rotisserie right now, and yeah, ready for the conversion, I would say. The good thing is I am a simulation expert, okay? So I know how things look like in the virtual world. So this is actually how it should look like in the end. You can see already a little motor inverter in the front, and then you can see a couple batteries in the front and in the back. So this is the concept, and this is how it should look like, hopefully in a couple months. Now, a very important goal in this project is obviously reuse things that we already have, right? And that holds true for the batteries as well. So these are actually batteries from scrapped cars. This is a battery from a Ford Mustang Mach-E that we are repurposing for our conversion project. Now, converting a car is one thing, right? But I like to have a global picture, and I also want to know where the energy comes from to charge my car. So it all makes sense, right? And the country where I'm from, which is Austria, not Australia, it's Austria, we have already 85% renewable energy generated in the country. I know that this is not the case in Wisconsin, but I am really confident that we can get there by just contributing. And so this is what we do. And by the way, these are used solar panels that we got donated that we will install in our house just to make this story even better. So in general, I am a big believer in a circular economy, bringing together the energy market and the transportation sector, having materials like in a circle, really first life, second life, and recycling turns into a local mining opportunity. This is what I call a battery biography. Now, I can't keep that all to myself, right? So my company is called Electrified Veronica, short EV. And I am really trying to raise awareness for electrification by doing it myself and sharing it on all the major channels. So you can find me everywhere. And my plan is really to grow and educate. Now, I'm not the only crazy person that does things like this. And no, I'm not from the future. This is a project happening in Wisconsin where somebody converted the DeLorean from Back to the Future into electric. I hope we can inspire more people to do that. And my final question for you is, what is your dream car? Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. That was excellent, setting the bar very high. Our second and final story today comes from far northern Wisconsin, literally. Dan Wiggins is the storyteller of our second story. He is the tribal projects lead for the Bad River tribe along the shores of Lake Superior. And he is going to share the tribe's journey to install a solar and battery powered microgrid that's bringing the tribe one step closer to energy sovereignty. Dan, are you in the virtual room? I can see you.
Yeah, I think you guys can hear me now.
Technology.
Technology. It's definitely working these days. As much as we want to get out of virtual, here I am virtually. Apologize about that. I wish I could be in person, but we'll get this started. As you said, I am from far north. As far north as you can get, I'm on the southern shores of Lake Superior. I'm going to be discussing and just running over a quick overview of our tribal project where we installed 3 microgrids. We conveniently named it Ishkunage, now what it is, Solar Microgrid Project. The first 2 words are Ojibwe and means it catches fire. I always joke around because it's a literal, it catches fire. We're just going to kind of use that as far as pushing solar throughout the tribal communities. So thank you again for your time, and here we go. Again, just to give you a little reference, Ashland is located in northern Wisconsin, in Ashland and Iron County on US Highway 2. In 2016, so why would we get into a solar microgrid? One, we've always been interested in renewable energies, but certain events can definitely trigger some really cool initiatives. And I think that's what happened. So from tragedy, we were able to create an opportunity. In 2016, there was a flood in northern Wisconsin that a lot of Wisconsinites probably are familiar with. Created a lot of outages, a lot of non-communication, roads were cut off, really created a lot of series of events and identified a lot of gaps within a lot of communities, specifically with electrical infrastructure and other infrastructure. Bad River communities such as New and Old Odana were devastated and experienced many impacts, including loss of utilities for multiple days. Specifically, our clinic facility was cut off for 3 days. So what do? You look at the circumstances, you look at the events, and you get into planning. You look at how you can identify those gaps and then find solutions. So it takes a lot of planning, looking at a lot of facilities, looking at a lot of the circumstances again, and understanding the series of events that happen. Some of the things we did was simply just look at our infrastructure that was affected, and then look at how we can mitigate some of those circumstances that were happening. So real specifically, it was the outages. The outages created events where our facilities were not able to serve the people. The next step. So obviously after planning, you identify a plan that you want to mitigate some of the facilities. You want to make them more resilient. You want to make sure that when events happen like this again, that you're able to respond accordingly. One of the things we identified was that we needed a lot of technical help. So we brought in first Check Bay Renewables, who helped us identify Mcgrid Analytics and Madison Solar. And then we obviously went a little bit further after identifying a microgrid contractor. Even after identifying a contractor, Mcgrid really emphasized identifying the strategic next steps. And so we identified a phased energy plan. The phased energy plan definitely helps with projecting out into the future, but it's still right now that we were looking at installing 3 microgrids. So we were awarded Faith Technologies the bid, and then they were able to come help us and start installing and constructing 3 microgrids. One of the first things that you always do before you start on a big project is just be thankful that you're able to do this great work. So this is our ground blessing. And then you get into the work. You get into the fun stuff. More pillars, the start of the solar panels. Foundations for the batteries, boxes of solar panels coming in. Workforce development, so trying to get tribal members and community members to learn how to install solar panels is key. Even local contractors, making sure you have local contractors coming in and learning these is very helpful. The batteries, that was fun. I think over 50,000, maybe between 50,000 and 70,000 pounds. They are fun to play with and huge. A close-up of the batteries. And then as the panels begin to be finished, you always got to finish up with the seeding and the environmental work. And then as we get finished products, here's the administration building. This was one of the first buildings identified. This is a 20 kW system. The wastewater treatment plant. Battery storage. Solar, 200 kW. And then the Health and Wellness Center. Battery storage and a 300 kW solar. So what are the next steps? The real easiest thing is just to teach the next generation of the opportunities with renewable energy. There's a lot of great projects still to do out there, and teaching these young people about the opportunities within kind of the energy world, not just renewable energy, but the energy world, I think is very important to make sure that this industry is recognized and continues to grow. And with that, miigwech, and thank you guys for your time.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan, for coming in from far northern Wisconsin. Thanks, Veronica, as well. Great stories. We have arrived at our morning break, so feel free to get up, stretch your legs. Our breakout sessions will be starting shortly. If you need more information on them, you can check out the app, and there's also a few programs out front left as well. So thanks.